Welcome to the Future Napier Committee. I have apologies from Councillor Tariha, which has been moved by Member Tariha and Councillor Mawson. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Let us do a call for any conflicts of interest on the papers we have in front of us today.
May. Shall we do that now?
Yes, thank you, Maxine.
Thank you. That's for the grey power petition.
In relation to the grey power petition, thank you very much.
And I have one for the Ahuri rock pools.
And Councillor Crystal for the Ahuriri rock pools. Double checking, we have no further conflicts. Thank you, those are both noted. So moving into our public forum, I would like to invite Bruce Carnegie to join us. No mai, welcome Bruce. Bruce is presenting a petition on behalf of Grey Power Napier. And I will hand over to you, Bruce, to summarise the submission and present it to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you for inviting me. Before I start, though, this has come about through Hastings Grey Power putting a petition together to present to the council in regards to free parking for the seniors. I got to learn about this, and I'm quite competitive with Hastings Grey Power, whereby my thinking is, whatever they do, we do better. So I want you to remember that when I finish what I'm going to say, because they've already presented their petition to the council about 6 or 7 months ago, and as yet they haven't heard back. I'm hoping that we can be a bit quicker than that when the time comes. So thank you for allowing me to talk today. It has come to our attention that other councils throughout New Zealand have recognised the benefit of offering free parking with their city centres to the 65 plus seniors. And now that Napier is an age-friendly city, for those who don't know, we're accredited. We think this is an opportune time for the council to consider doing this for our senior population. I've been informed that there are 6 cities, towns that do this, and that Hastings Council, which I've just mentioned, is considering implementing this service to the senior population. Now, I don't know whether this is totally 100%, but through the grapevine, Gore, Dunedin, Whanganui, Whangarei, Palmerston North, and Hamilton, plus Hastings petition. That's what I've been told verbally. Now, our proposal is based on the Palmerston North model, because I know that this is actually working, which has been in place for 2 years. And from my research, it's proven to be very successful, bringing the seniors into town, into the city, giving the retailers more customers and sales. It is suggested that the eligibility would be for seniors 65 years plus. They could be identified with their Super Gold card, vehicle registration and driver's licence. Senior Gold card parking permits would be available from the Council Customer Service Centre at a cost of $10. This is what they charge down there, $10, and would be valid for a calendar year from January to December. Since I wrote this, if concerned about the loss of revenue, Palmerston North have 12,000 seniors plus 65 age, and 2.5 have paid the $10, which brought in an income of $25,000. I'm sure with our 16,000 seniors and our way of communicating to them, and yourself with the Neighbourhood magazine, we could improve upon that. To allow the driver to apply, the driver would apply or bring in their Super Gold card, as I mentioned, but again, their vehicle registration and a current driver's licence, and they must be, based on what Palmerston North do, a Napier residence to apply. The permits are enforced digitally using the number plate, so no physical permit required to be displayed on the car window. It does not exempt them from the time limits or other parking rules, so they have to abide by, like we all do when we pay our money into the parking meter. Parking could be between 9 a.m. and 3. Palmerston North did it from 9 till 11 for the first year, and there was a few objections to that, so they've since had rethinking, and it's now 9 till 3. To support this proposal, we have letters of support from, I managed to get 160 signatures from people to support that, obviously elderly ones. A support letter from the Napier RSA, now called the Club. Peter Grant, who you should all know, chairman with the PASAG, Hariri Age Friendly City, and Wendy Scollum, most of you all know who she is, but she's the chairperson of the Positive Ageing Trust Hawke's Bay, which we, Great Power, are part of. We would like the council to consider this proposal as would be a win-win for both the businesses and particularly the retailers, when the shipping tourists are not here, and our seniors, of course. Also, it would be nice, now I haven't got that in your notes, but also it would be nice if we, Napier, were first to establish free parking before our Hastings friends, and finally to remember that Napier is a accredited age-friendly city. Any questions, please?
Thank you very much, Bruce. So I will just read out what the petition says, which is that the Napier City Council offers drivers 65 and over free parking in the Central Business District Monday to Friday between 9 and 3 p.m. This would require seniors to register their vehicle and pay a possible fee of $10. So that is the petition, and thank you very much. It has been formally tabled with the committee. I will then open for questions. I have Councillor Crystal.
Through the chair, does this include Taradale?
Yeah, well, Taradale, I live in Taradale, and the parking fee there is cheaper than it is in town. So I'm not too sure whether there is a benefit in that. But I think if we're talking about Napier, we should cover the whole of Napier. If we're going to do one part of, it's a bit like the library situation. I would say yes. Keep it simple.
Thank you very much, Bruce. I have Councillor Brown.
Through you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Bruce. Cool idea, borrowed from around the regions. It's great. Just curious around where the timings come from. Is that what other people have done, or if you have feedback around those would be?
Oh no, I've based it on the Palmerston North model, and that's the time they use, 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, Monday to Friday.
And just supplementary, do you know if there's much variation around the different places who have implemented this?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Though in saying that, I have a sister-in-law in Dunedin, and theirs is the same time, but it starts off at 70 years of age, which I thought was a bit ridiculous. But she said you got to be 70 to get the permit. So,
Okay.
But I'm pushing for gold card. It's easier that way.
Great, thank you very much, Bruce. I don't have any further questions, so I just want to assure you that we do have an opportunity to discuss this potentially later in our meeting. So thank you very much for tabling the petition with us, and we will come back to you after we have given some direction on how we intend to receive and consider it.
Just remember the celebration we could have in our newsletter. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Bruce. All right, we have a second public forum this afternoon, so I'd like to invite Stephen Daish from Mitchell Daish, and I see you have Graham with you, and welcome to come up and introduce your team.
Kia ora koutou. My name's Tom Hosford. I work with Stephen at Mitchell Daish. He's got a shoot off shortly, so I'll be standing in here. Joined here by Graham Duncan, who I'm sure you've all met before, through this project that I understand this will be our third engagement with Council in a formal setting on. Since the 2022 LTP funding deliberations, we were grateful to receive the $70,000 to progress this pre-feasibility study to the point where we're at now. And yes, basically happy to take you through some of the key recommendations coming out of that study and basically open up for comments and questions from there. So let's start with the engineering side of things. I suppose that's the critical in understanding how a project of this nature could move out of the ground. We've utilised Tonkin and Taylor, I'm sure you'll be familiar with, as our expert engineering advisors to look at a desktop level at this point in time, the coastal and geotechnical considerations of our project area. Their key takeaway from there is that they believe that they can deliver, or there is a viable pathway to deliver the certain structures into the coastal environment we'd like to build, but at this point in time there's just too many unknowns around the actual ground conditions, so that would have to be subject to further investigation in terms of intrusive investigations like borehole drilling. Where else from there? From the environmental and consenting perspective, we've worked through the various planning documents that would apply to the site, both in terms of the landward parcel and then into the coastal footprint, which we've picked out no key hurdles that would prevent consent or a consent application being made in the first instance. But some of the key next steps on that front we acknowledge would need to be taken forward would be partnering with mana whenua in the first instance to seek endorsement to actually undertake the activity in that location, given the overlap of the Coastal Marine area and the Marine and Coastal Act, or MACA, it's often known as. So that's where a partnership with the likes of Ngāti Pārao and Mana Huriri would be critical to take things forward, even through a co-design phase. And then importantly, on the landward side, our engagement with Napier City Council as a landowner will become critical in terms of Spriggs Park and teasing out the options in terms of conditional leases under the Reserved Act and so forth. So there's certainly a little bit of water to go under the bridge on that side of things, but and then finally beyond that, pulling together a robust consultation plan for engaging with the wider Napier community. As I'm sure, you know, with larger projects of significance, there's always going to be competing aspirations and ideas about both the effects of a development like that, but then also, you know, in terms of potential funding pathways and such. And then on the economics and financial side of the project, we've really relied on work completed to date at New Brighton, where they've completed their large aquatic facility upgrade and finished in around 2018, 2020.
Yep.
And they've been very helpful in sharing data where appropriate, just in terms of commercial sensitivities and the like, but working with them and Paul up in Kaitaia to just sort of get a few benchmarks on what these large pools facilities translate into in terms of project costs. But a key next step on that front that we just couldn't manage to progress as part of this pre-feasibility work is putting a bit of financial projections into it and looking at, you know, gate fees to model what our sort of revenues for operational and maintenance could look like. And so through that, we've recognised that things are pretty tough out there at the moment. And, you know, these larger projects are, you know, the first ones to face the chopping block. So as a means of pursuing this project in a more logical manner, we've actually recommended to progress on a stage basis, whereby the 25-metre pool and sheltered swimming beaches and coastal structures would be progressed initially. And then as a second stage, we could revisit the 50-metre lane pool. Key rationale behind that was that, we've had the Hawke's Bay Aquatic Centre develop over the duration of this reporting, and we see an opportunity to let that play out, see how that fits in the wider regional recreational landscape, but then to also tie in with the work Napier City Council's progressing under the current LTP and future LTPs with the marine aquatic facility at Onikawa, which we understand a working group, a community working group's been formed, and we'll start that process from here. So basically from here, we need to test the full feasibility of the project, which requires additional engineering inputs, quantity surveying to actually formalise a concept that we can test properly, and then look at the financials behind that. But more importantly, if we're to keep this project going forward, we're considering our own stakeholder group involving our mana whenua partners, the Ahuriri Business Association, council officers and elected reps, to basically take this business case through to full feasibility and the key decision on whether the project's worth progressing the resource consent or not. So that's probably the summary from me. Dunk, if you've got anything else you'd like to add, we'll just open up to questions after that.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Yeah, I'd like to make just a couple of comments, particularly with the fiscal restraints that we have in funding. I've continued to maintain continuous contact with some major players throughout the country and further afield. I can tell you I'm dealing with one major company that operate both within New Zealand and Australia. We did make a submission to them early. The feedback we got from that was that that report that we presented is one of the best that they've ever seen. Of the 15 review committee, all of them, without exception, voted 100%, which they tell me was very, very rare. We got some early funding out of one of their internal trusts, but I've had communications in recent times that they're very, very keen to see the project through. We're talking about a multi-million-dollar funding base that this organisation has, and they're very, very keen to see this project through. A couple of quick points further to that is that it seems to me also that with the nature of the two pools, and I'm certainly buying into the prospects of Project A and Project B, but there are a couple of considerations that we should consider here, that when we build this project, we've got to put a dry wall in to segregate the rocks in the foreshore to get clear dry area to build the steel structure of these pools. The 25-metre pool, if that be the first stage and then the opening pool spread, that you will see to the right of the 25-metre pool, the nature of doing a dry wall is to be able to give you time and space to remove a hell of a lot of water, so you get a nice straightforward structure of the steel work and the backbone that gives the strength unilaterally between the two big pools. To do it with one stage and then another, you've got that extra problem of issue with reinstating dry walls, either for the big pool or the first one. I think the other issue too, with regards to that and the timing of the work and the indications that I'm having a bit of feedback from, that if the small pool was completed and the reality of feedback that we get around through Tourism New Zealand and other places around the country, their thoughts are that the small pool would be totally congested very early in the piece, only being 25 metres. They're very keen to see the goodwill of this project go ahead, but but also make sure people come back. And if that small pool is created as the first and foremost in the open area, I would say if I'm able to achieve the full funding base through the connections that I have, and they are many, I think we need it open, that if we can secure the greatest percentage of funding for this project, that I might add is highly likely, we may be able to save costs and timing to be able to move this whole concept in a way that's going to be an opportunity for Napier to be very proud of, a new asset for something that we haven't seen in many a year. So I'm committed to work this through. There's 5 years' work gone into this offshore and research with a lot of other, like pool operations. Peter Twigg, our legal advisor, has also taken time out in the USA, and he had an overview of a major setup of pools that are about the size of a football ground. And he commented very clearly on the overnight bacterial controls and water protections and systems that happens nightly. So consequently, the work that I've done overseas, but more importantly within New Zealand, and certainly to take comment on the potential of algae growth in these pools and the modern day technologies that have moved to protect that, as well as algae growth on walkways, the rotary pathway will not be interfered with in any shape or form, albeit as a wooden deck. What we're talking about here is the concrete pathways around the pool, these stairs that are actually dovetailed back in, so your heel goes into those, strengthen the backbone of that seating area, and the one in between the two pools all get strengthened.
Graham,
Yep.
I might just, we've just hit our 10 minutes and I'm conscious that there might be
Sure.
questions, so
Yep.
I might just ask you if you're happy to take questions now.
Yeah,
We'll move
most
in.
definitely.
Perfect.
I just want to address some of the comments that have already come through to us and they needed addressing. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I will open it up for questions. Councillor Gregg.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. Just a question about the hot pool. How is that proposed to be heated?
Well, as Tom mentioned earlier, I've worked pretty closely with Russell Clay, and the work that they've done down in where the old operation was set up for the seahorse farming, and the sounding work that they did down there, they found that there was every likelihood that they could determine off the Napier fault line, which actually runs through here, and it actually exits under the rock pool area out into the open sea, albeit deep.
So geothermally.
Yeah, but this company has done some sounding work, a lot of satellite work, and from their satellite work they've done around the pools, they have 5 options right along that grass verge. They've done 2. And the second one, they came across a big rock outcrop that was domed underneath, but the left and right of that, they're pretty certain they would be able to access hot water heated at 43 degrees.
Great, thank you.
And we'd throw our arms up in the air and say, well, of the 40,000 drilling sites around Hawke's Bay, none of them have produced any hot water. This quite clearly is something quite unique and quite different. If it does work, first question, this would promote dramatically the benefits of these rock pools. Secondly, if it doesn't, we then got to look at another cost option of how we could heat them and in what form was best suited for that. So there are two prospects to work through there. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Councillor Crown.
Yeah, thank you through you, Madam Chair. Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. The 2021 long-term plan was my first long-term plan as a councillor, and I vividly remember you coming and presenting to us, Graham. It was such a cool idea, and it's wonderful to see what the investment from our ratepayers has produced so far in regards to this pre-feasibility report. My question is, so you're talking about next steps around full feasibility, business case, etc., noting the fact that that's where the numbers will be tightened up in regards to understanding, I suppose, whether you can heat it geothermally or whether there needs to be other provision put in place. What is the time frame that you guys have in mind in order to have that business case put together?
Well, question to that is too, the project itself, once we've satisfied all those requirements, is a 2-year build. But the area of what we're talking about now to satisfy those essential items to be able to bring to the table for the final sign-off and acceptance for the feasibility study, I would say 2 months maybe 3.
I think a key hurdle for us to progress to the next phase will be engaging with our prospective donors.
That's right.
Graham's mentioned there are people out there that are interested in partnering financially or with their other skills and tools that they may have available to a project like this. But it's probably a little too early to say. But I'd assume if the funding was in place, it'd be a 6-month piece of work. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Councillor Taylor, and then I think that will be our last question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a very quick question. The 6-lane, 50-metre pool is primarily lap swimming.
Yep, principally. But its use could be opened up to schools and other amenities for community swimming in general.
But in general, the lanes would be in place.
There will be, yes.
Thank you. That was a nice quick answer, so I will take you, Councillor Bogue, as my final.
Thank you very much, and very exciting project. When you came to us in 2022 LTP, you were talking about it costing 15 million. I now see it's 19 million. Is your business case going to include operating expenses, and will it be, I guess it'll be an asset of the City Council, so it'll be our responsibility?
Yeah, so that's where our financial modelling piece as part of the business case would really need to come into play. I suppose that's where we'd like to partner with our own aquatics team to understand and work that through, and we'll have to bring in our own aquatic recreational experts to flesh that all out. But yes, you are correct.
And just to finish off, just a question for us is, will this pool be one of the possibilities considered by the Citizens' Assembly when they discuss an aquatic facility?
Thank you, Councillor Bogue. My understanding is no, but I am welcome to be corrected by those who are on the working group for that. I think the question has already been put. Either Her Worship or Councillor Crown? No, we're not.
It's not.
Yeah, we're probably
not.
not in a position to answer that. I don't have the expertise here, but I'm happy to take that away. We'll make a note. Thank you very much, Tom and Graham, for coming to present the piece of work that you've gone away and done. It was very interesting reading. I think it's fair to say there are a lot of complexities still to be worked through as part of your full feasibility, but it's great to see that you've got over that first hurdle, pre-feasibility, and you have some irons in the fire, Graham, around those next steps. So thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I will move us through our agenda. We will touch base with the Mayor if there are any further announcements. There being none, no announcements by myself, and I will do a call for any minor matters. Councillor Brown.
Yeah. Through you, Madam Chair. Just keen to have a chance to discuss the petition that was brought forward by this afternoon.
Great, thank you. So we have discussion of the petition from Grey Power. Are there any further minor matters? There being none, I will move on to any announcements by management.
Yes, I do have one, actually.
Thank you. I'll pass over to Rachel.
Thank you. So
As this is our last Future Napier committee meeting, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge Deputy Mayor Brosnan for her chairmanship of Future Napier since 2019, or 2019. Yeah, I just think this is the little platform I have here. I want to use that opportunity to acknowledge her, particularly from the City Strategy Directorate, the staff, myself as the director, and also for any officers who have brought papers to this meeting. Look, I know that Annette will be properly acknowledged at the end of Triennium Council meeting, but I thought that this little milestone shouldn't pass without noting. So I think that, like I said, since 2019, Annette has led the Future Napier Committee with a really clear purpose, unwavering dedication, and a real focus on betterment of our city. I think Annette is certainly known for her astute thinking in the council chamber, ensuring that no one arrives, particularly not my staff, without doing their preparation first. And her sharp insight, though, has kept us all on our toes, and we're certainly benefit enormously from it. Outside of the council meetings, and what people don't see is the incredible support and leadership that Annette gives to me and my team. And she has guided us through many decisions, many difficult political issues, initiatives, projects, things that have actually enabled us to bring good decision-making to this table. And we're very grateful for it. And those things that will benefit Napier for years to come. I think her ability, something that we really recognise, is her ability to balance that strategic vision with actually practical advice and action has been a really big asset for my directorate. And, you know, as when it happens in every organisation, we muck up. Annette is the first person to step up and help us find that solution forward, never making us feel more worried about our mistake, and always moving on quite quickly, and we're very grateful for that. So on behalf of the City Strategy Directorate, Annette, and myself as Director, I want to thank you for being a champion of our work and for standing alongside us under such challenges that we've faced since 2019. I think the Council Chamber will be less lively without you, but we will miss your stewardship, and we wish you and your family all the best on your adventures.
Oh. Thank you very much. It's very humbling, as are all the kind words, you know, you and my colleagues have said in this decision to step down. So I, as my final chair to this committee, I do acknowledge those words. I think that is, very emotional. Thank you. Thank you for those management announcements. That was lovely. I will oddly move on to confirmation of minutes.
I think I threw her.
You have thrown me. Thank you, Rachel. So may I please have a mover that the minutes of the Future Napier Committee made on Thursday the 15th of May be taken as a true and accurate record. I have a mover in Councillor Crown and a seconder in Her Worship Mayor. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Right, I'll move on to our first agenda item, which is our resource consent activity update, and I welcome Nick McCool to join us at the table and present that paper. No, my Nick.
Good afternoon. This activity update covers the period 18 June to 4 August. Since the previous update, the number of resource consent applications received has unfortunately decreased by 24% compared to the same period 12 months prior. The applications comprise land use, subdivision, combined land use, and deemed permitted boundary applications. There continues to be a steady number of pre-application meeting requests received, and the mix of applications remains the same. Since the previous update, all resource consents were issued within statutory timeframes, and at times we have utilised Section 37 to extend those timeframes. Looking at the summary table, the first property is Pack and Save in Napier, and it relates to a just relatively minor upgrade to the click and collect service provided there. I'll discuss it in a little bit more detail. We have 8 Morris Spence Avenue. It's a proposal to replace existing residential units at the site, otherwise known as the Victoria Masonic Flats. And the proposal will decrease the total number of consented units on the site from 51 to 36. The State Highway 2 Notice of Requirement and Outline Plan of Works has been granted. The 42 Whitirangi Road variation is progressing, and we're nearing the final stages with draft conditions having been shared. 300 Marine Parade, the Locky Docks, they remain with the Locky Dock team to make a decision on potential locations. Number 230 Gloucester Street, the Foursquare associated redevelopment, remains on Section 92 hold. And the Kennedy Road billboard sign remains on hold, and understand that further negotiations are underway. So regarding 8 Morris Spencer Avenue, the applicant proposes to demolish the existing flats and obtain a new resource consent for retirement complex. The units will be of a similar orientation and location to what was existing on the site. The proposal will decrease the total number of consented units on site from 51 to 36. There will be 24 one-bedroom units, 10 two-bedroom units, and a community centre. And figure 1 shows the layout of the proposed units. And the proposal is a discretionary activity under the Operative District Plan, and it breaches a number of standards relating to open space, earthworks, signage, mobility parking, and bicycle parking. And below is a concept of one of the villa types, and there are a couple of types. The second project relates to the Pack and Save. As you'll see, there's 2 tenancies that are going to have to close, being the Pizza Hut and the Ingham's Takeaway Store, to accommodate the click and collect staging area. There are external alterations proposed. There is quite a lot of parking, some minor parking changes and some signage. And resource consent was required for the signage, which totals approximately 46 metres squared, which is above the district plan requirements. But overall, fairly minor alterations to that space. And there's just a picture of the click and collect in figure 4. And that's all I have for you today.
Great, thank you very much, Nick, for that summary. Right, we'll open up for questions. I have Councillor Taylor, followed by Councillor Crown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question in relation to Morris Spence development. Currently, the units there are rented. Do you know the intention? Is it to remain a rental property, or will it move to a licence to occupy owner type situation?
Through the chair, unfortunately, I do not know. That information is not necessary for a resource consent application.
Okay, might be interesting for us to know.
Thank you very much. Councillor Crown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just noting the application volumes being down almost a quarter on last year, wondering if you could provide us with some comment around how we're right-sizing our resourcing at the moment. I see things are still going through within the allocated time, so just wondering how we're managing that.
I think I'll defer to Rachel.
I can probably answer that one for you.
Okay.
Yes, so we try and have a resourcing model that sits in the midpoint of those ebbs and flows that come with consenting. And that means that we have a core team internally, and then we use consultants. And so when the numbers are down, we use less consultancy, and when it's up, we use more consultancy, but our core sort of team remains the same and are fully occupied. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. In the absence of any further questions, I'll ask for a mover to receive the report. Moved by Councillor Mawson, seconded by Councillor Gregg. Any comment?
No, great report, thank you. Always informative.
Thank you, and none from Councillor Gregg. I'll open the floor if there's any other comments to be made. I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, Nick.
Cool, thank you.
Now, I have our second paper, which is Reimagining Flood Resilience Project Update. I'm not sure if I have Bill in the room, but I have a Michelle who looks like she is ready and waiting. So we will welcome Michelle to, and Simon, thank you, to come and present this paper.
Yeah, I look a bit different from Bill.
Just a smidge.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Simon and I are here presenting as the NCC reps on the tag for the Reimagining Flood Resilience Project, which is led out of Hawke's Bay Regional Council and was established in direct response to the Hawke's Bay Independent Flood Review. You might remember a workshop where HBRC reps presented the project to you earlier this year. Essentially, the project takes a long-term view to determine what river flood resilience may look like in generations to come. So, as I say, it's a long-term project with a focus in particular on the Heretaunga Plains and the Upper Tukituki flood control schemes. There is a steering group that's been established to oversee the project. In fact, 2 steering groups, one for each flood scheme, and they are jointly meeting for the first time on the 1st of September. And Councillors Brown and Taylor are our representatives on that steering group. TAG meetings have been underway for the last 2 to 3 months, where we've been establishing our agreed terms of reference amongst the membership, so that's council members plus mana whenua members, establishing an agreed way of working, project principles, and gaining an understanding of the project itself and the 2 flood control schemes. So we intend to bring an update to you every 3 to 6 months. Attached to this paper is the update that was provided by the project team to their council from Regional Council, which we wanted to attach for your information for transparency. And yes, we'll bring updates to you every 3 to 6 months, as I said, depending on project progress and the speed of that. The intent of the project in the immediate future is to provide tangible outcomes to help inform HBRC's LTP for 2027. Simon and I are happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you very much, Michelle, and my apologies. I think it was just an error on my run sheet that had Bill, because your name is on the paper, so thank you very much for that. I will open the floor if we have any questions on the report. No, overall, I think a really timely update to us. Thank you. Is it a Councillor Taylor?
Question. It's just a note that Councillor Brown and myself, we have a pre-meeting briefing next week to let us know a little bit more about what we're getting ourselves into.
Very good. Always good to be prepared. Great, thank you very much. If there is no questions, I will ask for a mover and Councillor Taylor and a seconder and Councillor Brown. Open up if you have any further comments you'd like to make.
Oh, just a very brief comment that obviously this is a massive project that will have consequences in the future, and Councillor Brown not standing for Napier City but wanting to be in the Regional Council tent, and myself will represent initially. So looking forward to it.
Great, thank you very much. I'll open it up for the seconder.
Just in line with what Graham said, and I think this is another one where community voice is incredibly important. So the focus groups and community input that's planned makes so much sense to try and get the politics out of the way before we come up with the solutions.
Good summary. All right. If there are no further speakers, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And Simon, I think you stay with us for the next paper, and we welcome Connie Whelan-Mills to join us as well. So we move on to paper 3, which is our coastal hazards strategy update. No mai, Connie.
Oh, kia ora, everyone. We've got Simon and I here. We're Napier City Council TAG members on the coastal hazard strategy. So the purpose of today's paper arose from the annual plan deliberations this year, where this council made a decision to continue funding the strategy but not automatically allocating that funding to the strategy, instead keeping it in our resilience rate, and then us as officers to provide quarterly updates. So this is our first quarterly update and we'll keep bringing them to you. We'll take the paper as read and I'll just provide a bit of a summary instead of what's happened since you last heard from us. There's been a fair bit of community engagement that's occurred. So the way that the strategy works is we've got Bayview, West Shore in the north, and then we've got Te Wonga, Hamoana in the south as Napier City. We're really just involved in the Napier communities. We're also part of the overall engagement group too, which combines all 4 cells as well. So every 3 weeks we meet out at, can't even remember the name of the location, in West Shore with our community groups.
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard building.
That's the one, thank you. Councillor Price and Councillor Brown have been coming to these meetings too. They're very well attended and the community members, I feel like, really are open to giving feedback. The purpose of the community engagement is to make sure that the strategy remains palatable for the community to understand the why and also want to take it on too. So though there's been expressions of things take time, I think there's been a really huge amount of participation in it and it's led to some really good outcomes. One most recently is we're now investigating an eco reef out at West Shore. So Te Wonga had an eco reef installed and the community members said that they really wanted that to be investigated for our Napier community too. From here, we'll go to the budget position. So we're not asking for any additional funding at this stage. There was a carry forward from last year and we're still utilising that carry forward to fund the current work streams. And those work streams are comms and engagement advisors. We've got an independent engagement specialist, and that's just to represent everyone as part of the partners on the strategy, not just a HBRC member. We've got our Mātauranga Māori work stream. We've got design investigations, so including the eco reef, and then we've got governance and project manager support is using that budget. I will note that the paper does say our budget forecasts a shortfall this year, but we're not as TAG members, we don't see it as necessarily a red flag at this stage. The project has tracked slightly behind budget, so though we've got some estimates in there, there's no immediate concern. So, and I'll just highlight here, should there ever be a request that we do ask to use that resilient rate Napier City budget, the criteria would be against demonstrating the necessity for using it in the first place and the value for our Napier residents. So it's not for the value of the strategy, it's value for Napier residents. Cool. Next steps, we're going to be broadening our engagement beyond just our coastal residents and into the wider community. You'll be seeing that over the next 3 months, and we'll report back next time too. We're continuing to explore the technical work, so the eco reef, and then we're continuing to support the focus groups every 3 weeks. The ultimate aim of those focus groups is to make a recommendation up to HBRC by the end of the year. Cool. Happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you very much, Connie. A very thorough summary. I'll open it up if there's any questions. Councillor Crystal.
So the eco reef, tell me what's involved in this?
So this project has come from what's occurred out at Te Wonga. It's a bit of a... Can I hand this to Simon? He's the engineer on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to that one and pick through the chair. It's a structure that is concrete hexagons, essentially, that helps hold the material in place. The strategy currently suggests that we will re-nourish the beach with gravel, and that is uncontained, so that there is a chance that that will move over time. By putting the eco reef in there, it helps contain it. However, there's other risks around erosion of the toe and some other engineering things that we'll get T&T as the specialist to look into for us. Yeah, but there is one that's now completed out at Te Wonga, I think that's had a lot of community support out that way, and so I think the West Shore community are just keen to see it's worked out there, can it work for us as well? And that's where we've landed.
Great, thank you very much. I'm not seeing any further questions, so if there are none, I'll ask for a mover, and our recommendations that we received the project update, and we note that the similar update was provided to HPRC. Moved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Price. Comment, Councillor Brown.
Yeah, just one I'll add to Simon's korero there around what's in the strategy now is renourishment with sand, with gravel and sand onto the beach, which is very, very, very important for the West Shore community. The key thing they keep pushing for in our meetings is to see that sand back on the beach. So, yeah, I think this is brilliant. It's good to get an update, and I suppose just to talk to the value for money for Napier in this. The southern cell are probably a little bit further ahead in their work in terms of developing their feedback back to the working group and council. So we've still got some journey to go, and if we do end up in an extra budget, it'll be because we want to get that extra level of detail from the community.
Great. Thank you very much, Councillor Brown. Councillor Price.
Thank you. No, that's all good stuff, but I think there's a lot of frustration in the West Shore people. Very frustrated. They want an indication on costs and how the whole city becomes involved in the protection of that part of the coast. And there is a process we have to go through to get there, which some people don't understand. So there is a lot of frustration. The infrastructure that's been built at Hamoana, the eco reef, that Hastings have funded that to protect some of their infrastructure out there. So I think they've got issues that are more urgent than what we've got at the moment. They're under the thumb. What was that? Oh,
Bless you, sorry.
okay. Thank you. But that's all. Yeah, all good. Threw me out.
Thank you very much, Councillor Price. Some very good points made around the complexities of funding the rollout of any hard engineering options. I will, for the lack of any further commentators, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, both. We move on to item 4, and I'd like to invite Fleur Lincoln, and I see Paris Greening here as well. Join us for item 4, which is the Te Muruai o Te Whanga plan. No mai. Welcome.
Tēnā koutou katoa. So I'm Fleur Lincoln, and beside me here, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Kia ora tātou. Great to be in front of you again, and a pleasure to be in service with you for our Ahuriri community. Paris Greening, General Manager, Mana Ahuriri.
Thank you, Paris. So I'd like to take the paper as read. However, I have prepared a brief summary, which I'll go through now, if that's okay with you. Okay.
Thank you.
So the purpose of today's paper is for Council to formally receive and endorse the Te Muruai o Te Whanga plan, which is this plan here. And you have a copy of it in your appendices. So I'd just like to note that the same paper was presented to the Ngā Manakonoko o Te Iwi Committee last week, and they received the paper, but they've not yet endorsed the paper because there was a few questions that they had. I provided those answers to the governance team, who will provide that to the chair. Okay. So the Te Muruai o Te Whanga plan was born out of the Ahuriri Hapu Te Tiriti o Waitangi settlement of 2021 and prepared by the Te Muruai, Te Komiti Muruai o Te Whanga. The Te Komiti consists of members representing Mana Ahuriri Trust, Napier City Council, Hastings District Council, the Hawke's Bay Regional Council and the Department of Conservation. The primary purpose of Te Muruai o Te Whanga plan is reflected in its vision, and that vision reads, The health of Te Whanganui-a-Orotu supports environmental, economic, social, spiritual, historical and cultural values for present and future generations. The plan includes an action plan, which is obviously always very important when it comes to strategic documents, and that has a number of initiatives that will help deliver on the outcomes sought by the plan. For Napier City Council, these initiatives are already programmed and are already being delivered currently, or are in the work program to start within the next 5 years. So some examples of those initiatives include the Lagoon Farm Stormwater Project and the Stormwater Bylaw enforcement. Council and the other partners to this plan are required to have regard to the plan's contents when assessing resource consents or preparing plans, plan changes or variations under the Resource Management Act, and when making decisions under the Local Government Act. The paper includes the link to the online version of the plan, and the plan is also appended, as I said, in to the paper in Appendix 1. So the endorsement of the plan is a commitment to decisions that support a thriving, healthy estuary, one that sustains diverse ecosystems, enhances community well-being, and provides long-lasting benefits for future generations. I'd now like to invite Paris to say a few words, if that pleases you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fleur.
Kia ora. So I'm here on behalf of Mana Ahuriri and Te Kumiti Muriwai o Te Whanga, and I bring the apologies of Te Kaho Waikirangi, who is the chair of Mana Ahuriri and the chair of Te Kumiti Muriwai o Te Whanga. If you didn't know, Te Muriwai o Te Whanga literally means the end of the waters of the estuary. So it talks about where the waters come from and where it ends up, which is in Whanganui-a-Orotu. That's whether it's a stream, a river, or as we know, our stormwater system. For mana whenua, this place is both a physical place and a cultural taonga, a gathering point of waters, people, and as we know, water is life. The plan, as Fleur said, is a direct outcome of our Ahuriri Claims Settlement Act, which recognises Te Whanganui-a-Orotu as a taonga and establishes Mana Ahuriri as kaitiaki within legislation. Our vision is simple, as Fleur has shared, that the health of Te Whanganui-a-Orotu supports environmental, economic, social, spiritual, historical and cultural value for all the communities in Ahuriri. Our whakatauki, loosely translated in English, talks about the whānga as the storehouse that never closed, a kai in the morning, a kai in the afternoon, and a kai in the evening. Literally it was bountiful. It was well protected and cherished, and it served our tipuna excellently. Today, we have a plan to get us back to a metaphoric state and how we can feed our people culturally, spiritually, economically, historically, and environmentally, most importantly. For Napier City Council endorsement of this plan, I think it's crucial. It's not only a legislative requirement under the Settlement Act that we get the endorsement, but also an opportunity for Napier City Council to demonstrate leadership in what it is, co-governance, climate resilience, and community wellbeing. By endorsing this plan, Napier City Council affirms its role as a true treaty partner in protecting and restoring one of Napier's most significant natural and cultural taonga. Together we can leave a legacy of restoration through Te Muriwai Te Whanga and care for our mokopuna. Ngā mihi nui.
Kia ora. Thank you very much, Fleur and Paris. I will open up if there is any questions or discussion, and I'll pass to Councillor Bogue.
Through you, Madam Chair. Well, thank you very much. This is very exciting and uplifting to see this plan. There is a little Tangata Tiriti group, the Ahuriri Estuary Protection Society, who formed in 1981 and were responsible for preventing the Te Whanga becoming a marina, basically. And even though they're just a little voice, I just wondered what your relationship is with that organisation now.
As Mana Ahuriri, we have a very close relationship with the society. We invite them along to Te Muruai Te Whanga to participate. They're considered in the document as a key stakeholder. They inputted into some of the activities that we've got within the plan. And just to remind the council that this plan, through the legislation, what's the wording? Must give regard.
Have regard to,
yeah.
Correct.
Council must have regard to this plan. So it was important that we had all those like-minded entities, individuals, organisations be part of this plan. It's a all of us plan.
Thank you.
Kia ora, Mayor Wise.
Thank you, through the chair, and that leads into my question nicely. Can you just explain in that legal framework what have regard to actually means? Because I know there's quite a specific, yes, thank you.
Yes, there is. Happy for me to take this?
Yes, please.
Okay, so yes, the Ahuriri claims, Ahuriri Hapu Claims Settlement Act was very specific with the wording that it used. For councils, it was to have regard to. For the Department of Conservation, it was different. It was so it was a take account of. And so have regard to is essentially when we make decisions that have an influence on Te Whanga, that we essentially take into consideration the objectives and outcomes sought by the plan, and that we document those carefully within those decision documents. So an example might be that the proposed district plan will be coming to council hopefully shortly, and for adoption, and that part of that report would be considering how the contents of that plan and how it has regard to what's in the Te Muruai o Te Whanga plan.
Councillor Gregg.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Paris and Fleur. Just a question regarding access by cycling. In the future plans for Te Whanga, is that a consideration? I'm talking about around the estuary.
We've got aspirations to enhance access across the whanga. So as things develop and people put their interests through, not only cycling, walking, learning spaces, wānanga spaces, fishing and gathering of kai, places to gather and lament and mourn as well, conduct spiritual activities, but heaps of places and spaces that will enhance the well-being of our community.
Great, thank you very much. I have Councillor Price and then Councillor Brown.
Just wondering if you can assist the financials. There's budget in the long-term plan. What sort of, when and what sort of money are we looking at, please? Are you able to help me there?
Through you, Madam Chair, are you thinking about in terms of the initiatives that have been included in the action plan?
Yeah, and it's in the long-term plan? Been funded?
That have already been funded. I don't have that information to hand, but I can provide it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll make an action note for that. Councillor Brown.
Oh, my question was basically the same, I think.
Okay. So covered by the action?
Well, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Bogue.
Just a question. With the significance and the importance and the mana of this taonga, has Mana Ahuriri ever considered applying for legal status as the Whanganui River has, of that, the Te Whanga becoming legally like a person, as has been achieved with the Whanganui River?
That has been a topic of discussion at the board level. However, noting that we have a specific piece of legislation now, and so this is our focus at the moment. Yeah.
Thank you. If I don't have any further questions, I would actually like to move this from the chair. So I'm looking for a seconder.
Sorry, could I suggest an amendment to the recommendation?
Yes, happy to hear a proposed amendment.
In light of the fact that Ngā Manukanuka o Te Iwi have not yet endorsed this plan, can it just be amended that we endorse it subject to Ngā Manukanuka o Te Iwi being satisfied with the answers to their questions and them endorsing it? I think we just need to complete that loop.
Yeah, thank you for that pickup. I think that is good. So essentially, we're just setting the hierarchy there that our endorsement will take effect subject to Ngā Manukanuka's endorsement of the plan.
Yeah.
Question on the proposed amendment, Councillor Brown?
Just that it would be really handy to see what their questions were and interested in their line of thinking around what was, So how that procedurally comes back to us, I'm not sure, but...
Yeah, Fleur, I think that is a question that would be helpful before we go into debate. If you wouldn't mind just briefing the council or the committee, on what those questions were.
Yes, I can do that.
And answers, that would be helpful. Thank you.
You want me to do that now? Sure.
Yeah, I don't need you, I don't think, to read through all of them, but if you're in a position to summarise the general line of question thinking and answers, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. So there were essentially three questions brought to the table. The first was, why does the paper state that the council is not required to adopt the plan, noting that the paper seeks that the council endorse the plan instead? The second is, what does have regard to mean? How will council have regard to the plan, and where will this regard be captured? The paper also notes that DOC is required to take into account the plan. What is the reason for the inconsistency? I believe I may have addressed that already. And the third question was, what is the biggest priority for Te Whanga? So in response to the first question, my answer was that the Ahuriri Hapu Claim Settlement Act requires the adoption of the plan by Te Komiti, not necessarily by the council. That's silent on that matter. However, in light of the influence that the plan has on council's decisions, that an endorsement was considered to be the right approach for this. And that really showed the commitment that council had to those outcomes that are sought as well. And as I said, I believe I've answered the second question throughout this paper. And then the answer to my the third question was that the priorities for Te Whanga are really established through Te Komiti, and that the scope of the plan is very broad, but it was very clear from Te Komiti in the creation of this plan that the environment was a large priority, and that's reflected in the action plan. Noting that the plan can be regularly reviewed and updated over time.
Great, thank you. I think that was helpful. So I have a mover in myself, and I had a seconder in Councillor Crown. Councillor Crown, just checking you are comfortable with that amendment proposed by the Mayor, which has been accepted by the mover and the seconder. So I will speak to the motion briefly, and I just want to, mark this significant milestone for Te Komiti, and just mihi to the current board members as well as the past members of Mana Ahuriri, who I know fought long and hard and for many, many years to get the Ahuriri Claim Settlement Act across the line, which included this as a key piece of redress. So I'm very proud to be here today. And as the council's representative on Te Komiti, I wholeheartedly support the adoption of the Te Muruai o Te Whanga plan. It is an expertly crafted legislative masterpiece, in my view, and it delivers a collective vision which is anchored in deep whakapapa and enduring values of Te Whanga. It addresses our environmental, cultural, spiritual, historical, social and economic dimensions in an integrated, future-focused strategy. Its strength lies not in its holistic articulation of these values and objectives, but also in its functional mechanism for statutory influence. Under the Ahuriri Hapu Claims Settlement Act, the plan mandates that relevant territory authorities, including us, give regard to its provisions in policy development, in consenting decisions, in funding applications, and in conservation planning. Moreover, this plan is not aspirational rhetoric as a result of all of those foundations. It carries the voice of mana whenua, our local authority, conservation groups, and the broader community in both its preparation and implementation stages. It provides a pragmatic action framework for phased implementation and monitoring and investment coordination and shared accountability. Gosh, I've written some long words here. But it is incorporating Te Moeroa o Te Whanga into Napier City Council's statutory planning instruments, long-term plan considerations, where we really signal our commitment to how important this document is in restoring the estuaries, mauri, its mana, and ensuring that Te Whanga remains a resilient, abundant storehouse that never closes for current and future generations. So ngā mihi, Paris, to you, to your organisation, and to everyone that came before you to bring us here today. It is really a momentous milestone. I will pass over to Councillor Crown.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Goodness, what a speech to follow. But I will just make a couple of quick points, if I may. One, I think that it is appropriate for this body to endorse the plan. I think it recognises the mana of Te Komiti, and if we need a bit of a hierarchy, I think that it's very fitting that they sit at the top there and that we work with them in order to deliver on our statutory requirements, but also to build relationship and goodwill. And to finish off, to quote you, Mr. Greening, this is an all of us plan. And I think that that is actually captures things beautifully as we move forward. Congratulations to everyone involved.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, thank you. I will open the floor if there is anyone else who would like to speak on the paper. So we are receiving and endorsing, noting the endorsement by Ngāma Nukunuka to come before ours. This is confirmed. If there are no further speakers, I will put Councillor Brown.
Oh, I won't add much, but just to say a huge congratulations. I know how hard these multifaceted plans are to pull together, and you've obviously done your stakeholder engagement and your community engagement really, really well and worked through not so much competing priorities, but so many different complexities to get this to the succinct, incredibly well put together plan. So really, really impressed. Congrats.
Thank you. With that being said, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Kia ora.
Tā mihi.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we move now on to minor matters, so I will pass on to Councillor Brown.
Yeah, kia ora through you, Madam Chair. I thought it was an interesting proposal put forward by the Grey Power Association, and I just think it would be brilliant if we could get a paper brought back to us around the practicalities and the risks and opportunities of us implementing such a proposal.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that you would, as part of a minor matter, like to propose a resolution that staff consider the petition and bring a paper to a future council committee meeting. Do I have any discussion on that? Is there general agreement that that would be worth doing? Question, Councillor Gregg.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. If it could include some information about other cities and what they do as well.
Thank you. We'll take that into advisement, and I believe they have weaved that into their petition, so we can encapsulate that. Okay, so I have a mover from Councillor Brown to direct officers to consider the Grey Power District's petition and bring a paper to a future committee meeting. I suspect that will be in the new term, Councillor Brown.
Me?
Seconded by Councillor Mawson. So I have a mover with Councillor Brown, a seconder and Councillor Mawson. If there is no further speaking to that, I'll put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. And just as I've had a second to think, I would just like to say before I move into public excluded, it has been an absolute honour to be your chair of this committee. And as you know, regulation and city strategy is certainly a passion of mine. So to use a well-known quote, if you do something you love every day, you never have to work. So yeah, Rachel, your team and you are world class, and it has been an absolute privilege. So with that being said, I will ask for a mover for public excluded. Councillor Crystal and Councillor Mawson. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moved. Thank you.